I'm Kim Estes, and I'm here with world-renowned nutritionist and best-selling author Bob Barefoot. It's been about 5 years since Bob Barefoot made the most-watched infomercial in American television history, the infomercial that introduced coral calcium to America. Bob Barefoot is called Mr. Coral Calcium. Bob, thank you for being my guest today.
I'm real happy to be here today.
Now, you've been sued by the FTC and attacked by the Food and Drug Administration.
Yes, that's true.
So pretty much because you've been out there telling the world and the truth about how calcium and other vitamins and minerals can be curing diseases. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Then if nutritional deficiencies cause disease, then taking vitamins and minerals can cure diseases?
That's what the scientific community says about it.
Yeah, but you're not a medical doctor.
No, I'm a research scientist.
Okay. Because in here you talk about suppressed medical studies documenting how vitamins and minerals can prevent cancer, heart attacks, diabetes, MS, lupus, etc., etc. Specifically, how is it that nutrients can cure diseases?
Well, your body is made up of nutrients, and some nutrients are more important than others. Like, for example, calcium. There's more calcium in your body than any other mineral, and you need to replace it constantly. And that's the basis of it. You're made up of nutrients, and with nutrients, you maintain your health and maintain a disease-free environment.
I want to talk about the epidemic today. I mean, as we know it, it's widespread. We're talking about cancer.
Okay, well, you know, in 1900, 3% of Americans got cancer. By 1950, it rose to 20%. In 1972, President Nixon declared war on cancer. We're going to bring it down. Well, it was 27%. Then, in 1999, it was 39%. It's calculated by the year 2020, 50% of all Americans will get cancer. My God, and here we are today telling you we could wipe cancer off the map.
So we're saying that all cancers can be cured?
Yes, all cancers.
So it's amazing, but what would you say if I told you I had a friend who had prostate cancer?
I can introduce him to 100 other men who have come to me with prostate cancer, and it's gone.
Just by taking supplements?
Supplements and God's sunshine. I can't reiterate that 50% of the battle is getting out in the sun.
Which is vitamin D.
Vitamin D, but it's not only vitamin D, it's calcitonin, melatonin, serotonin, inositol triphosphate. You produce dozens of hormones and enzymes. Your pituitary gland, pineal gland, and hypothalamus gland behind the eyes produce these things, and they help keep you young and healthy and disease-free.
In your book, you call them suppressed clinical studies. Why do you do that?
Yes, because you never see a scientist standing up and saying, I can cure cancer. If he did, he loses his research funding. And a scientist with no research funding is not a scientist. And a doctor who stands up and says it, bam, loses his license.
Now, you've documented how calcium and vitamin D can cure disease, but what about leukemia? Is that curable with coral calcium or vitamin D?
Yes, with sunshine.
There are cures out there.
Yes, but you have to understand that 75 years ago, a medical researcher called Otto Warburg won 2 Nobel Prizes for determining the cause of cancer. The cause of cancer. And he determined the cause was anaerobism, which is lack of oxygen. Now, he won the Nobel Prize for that. He came to America to teach the students in Berkeley University. You know what he said? There's no disease we know more about the cause and the cure than cancer. But because of your agnostics in the AMA and the FDA, he said, these godless men, they will prevent Americans from taking the nutrients they need. And he says, millions of Americans will die needlessly. And since he said that, 30 million Americans have died.
You had someone close to you that had cancer, say breast cancer, for example. Now, you're not a doctor, so you can't prescribe medicines or drugs. But what would you tell them about coral calcium and vitamin D?
Well, I'd send them to the book and say, look, read. Look what the scientists are saying. Look at the credentials of the scientists. These are the best medical researchers on earth. Vitamin D, the calcium, the sunshine, they're curing cancer.
And they would be cured?
Yes.
But how can you say that when, if you had 10 medical doctors here, they'd all say that wasn't true?
Yes, but look at their credentials. Not one of the medical doctors is a scientist. I mean, would you ask the milkman about brain surgery? Well, you might as well not ask the medical doctor about nutrition, because you see, they're not trained 5 minutes in nutrition. They're only trained about drugs, drugs, drugs.
But so why isn't this front page news? Why isn't this something that's out there?
Well, first off, front page news has to be reported by television, newspapers, radio. Now, therein lies the problem. You see, the drug industry, which makes hundreds of billions to trillions of dollars every year, they have the ads. Most television stations spend 80% of their money comes from drug ads. So you see, the drug companies own the television stations, they own the radio stations, they own, and those people and those stations, they don't want to jeopardize this huge income. So alternative medicine is just totally out. It's out to whack. And you know, there was a story on CNN, and it was just 2006, December 29th. And you know what it said? Massive study, multi-million man study, proves vitamin D terminates 50% of all cancers. You know, if there was a drug that would terminate 50% of all cancers, it would be worth trillions and trillions of dollars. They would have it on radio, television, thousands of times every day. Every time you turned around, you'd be hearing about it. Oprah Winfrey would do a special show on it. I mean, my God. And here CNN is with the hottest story of the 21st century, and because of their drug revenues, the story was killed. They were brought to their knees by the drug industry. All the research scientists out there are saying that calcium inhibits, prevents, and many of them even say the word cure, although they don't say it out loud and in public. But that's the message that we're getting from the research scientists in America today.
Are there various kinds of coral calcium, different degrees or grades?
Oh, yes, but I prefer marine-grade coral calcium. It's freshly harvested out of the ocean, and it has the perfect biological ratio of magnesium to calcium, 2 to 1. It has 12% magnesium. You know, there's unscrupulous people in the world. They go to Okinawa and they dig the coral out of the ground, and that coral has less than 1% magnesium. So if you want the perfect 2 to 1 magnesium to calcium, you will get the marine-grade coral calcium.
Okay, Bob. You recommend coral calcium, but if a person goes to the store, what other kinds of calcium can they buy?
Well, most products in the store are calcium carbonate, and that's only 1% absorbable. But it's so cheap, they can make money. Now, you can get calcium citrate, which is more absorbable. Right. Not very much more, but it's more absorbable, but it's a lot more expensive. That's why I recommend coral calcium, 76% absorbable. Mother's milk is the best, and that's around 17%. And then you can compare that to 76% coral calcium. It's a slam dunk, coral calcium.